let's talk about what I consider to be my kind of forte, training. A lot of you silly kids want to look like Rangers, play like Cub Scouts. No go. Look, if you haven't read like my background in training, my professional certifications, my professional experience, blah, 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 look at me, blah, blah, I'm a big deal, whatever. Go to the Instagram, I'm sure there's a post. The post that I put, hang on, I'm not ready for anything, you don't care. Look for the post that looks like that, and then just read the text on it. There's a lot of stuff to read. So that's me, right? Yay, look, yay me. Okay, whatever. Let's look at where most players get their abilities from to maneuver on the field. Usually it's what they see in mainstream media. Movies, TVs, video games, blah, 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 blah. Even those guys suck. Like, oh, do I have a gun? Hang on. Show you what I mean. So. Hi. So, what do I mean by they suck? On TV and in movies, I will see people holding a pistol way down here, like this. This is all I need to see. That's it. As soon as I see this, I just go, oh, you're stupid. You don't know what you're freaking doing with a pistol. That's fine. Or what's another fun one? I see this. I've seen this on TV. There's still this style, like ridiculous. Did I break anything? No, okay. Ridiculous. Not how you do it. Players see that and then do that. And then they play that way for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, whatever. And then a player newer than them will see that player doing that same stupid thing that they saw on TV and go, oh, that guy looks legit. He's got a HPA pistol. He's got a dye mask. He looks like some sort of ninja with padding on. I guess that's what I have to do too. And then we just keep replicating this madness. And it doesn't make any sense because it goes unchecked. The reason it goes unchecked, the reason that bad technique goes unchecked is because no one knows how to check it. Because no one has a serious background in that stuff. In the gun handling world, the professional gun handling world is a niche world. There's not a lot of people that do it. Within that world itself, the even smaller niche are the people that teach people how to do that. And the niche within the niche of that niche world are the people who are good at it. I consider myself to be one of those people. If you want further information on that, go to Facebook, type in Eagle Defense. Eagle the bird, E-A-G-L-E, Defense, D-E-F-E-N-S-E. Did I say that's fast and accurately? And go read the reviews that I get, that I have been getting for years in my teaching technique and how I teach. Keep in mind, I am a firearms instructor. That's what people give me side money for. I teach armed guards, I teach CCW, teach defense, all that stuff, right? I took my world and then made money out of it. My world of army and cop stuff and blah, blah, blah. Look at how cool I am, right? So, then I take that and I put it into Airsoft. Now, when you teach Airsoft techniques, it is not the same techniques you would teach real steel. There's similarities. The concepts are similar, but the execution, the specific training, very different. It's very different. There's stuff I do on the field that I would never do on a call. I would have never done that stuff in Baghdad. I would have never done any of that stuff on the field the way I would have done it in real life. And vice versa. There's stuff that I do in the real, that I have done in on calls, various calls, when I was in Baghdad or Iraq or wherever I was, that I wouldn't do it that way on the field. Why? You don't do it that way. Like, there's more efficient ways to do it. But people don't understand that. People just see you dressed up in stuff, holding a gun that looks real and go, oh, it's the same thing. No, listen to me. It's not the same thing. If you say it's the same thing, you're stupid. Okay? Okay? It's not. You don't train for one in the exact same way you would train for the other. You don't. I'm telling you right, if you just have YouTube, don't look at airsofters. Don't train like airsofters train. Don't. Because most of those idiots are doing it based off what they've seen on TV or in real world training. Or don't do it. You want to be better at airsoft? Go watch a paintball video. Go watch snap shooting. Go watch how to be off the break. Go watch how to take corners off a Dorito. Go watch that. Don't watch airsoft training. Because too many of these knuckleheads think it's real. Too many of these people think that because they're all kitted up and flew, ooh, look at me, I washed out through infantry basic training, but before I medicaled out because my feetsies hurt, I did 2 days of room clearing, so I'm a big deal now. No, you're not. You're stupid. Yeah, I said it. I'm calling you that out. I'm calling you to the floor. Am I saying I'm the greatest trainer? No, I'm not. I'm just a dude that happens to have a decent understanding of what's going on, and I can usually explain that pretty well. Also, keep this in mind. Just because someone is high level, just because they compete, just because they win competitions, just because they're good on the field, does not mean they know how to teach that. Teaching within itself is a very particular and specific craft. It's a very specific skill set that not a lot of people can do. Look, I knew dudes that were way better shots than me, with way more experience, a way higher pedigree of competition. They were just better behind the glass. They couldn't teach their way out of a paper box just because they didn't know how to explain things. They didn't understand like maybe a specific language. Like they didn't know how to teach, but they could do the dang thing. They just couldn't explain how they did it. They were just like, dude, how'd you do it? And I did it. Oh. That's not very specific, is it? So, another thing. Because the average airsofter is so young, let's say, if we use the data from the My Field current survey, what's the average age for a player? Between about 13 to 17, so about junior high school age. Most of those kids don't have an understanding of how the world works. They just know what they see based on what they've experienced. They haven't been to other countries. They haven't devoted decades or years or whatever of their life to one thing yet. They haven't done that. They don't possess the knowledge base to be able to identify something and go, that doesn't look right. Kids have no concept of that. You're not supposed to as a kid. When you're a kid, you're not supposed to know how to clear rooms. You're not. It's not like, who does that? So, I hope you enjoy the rant. Also, fields are trying to put that together as well. It's thundering. Fields struggle with this. Players struggle with it. Look, there's anytime. Let me segue into this piece. Welcome to the rant. All right, this is the second one for the day. It's probably going to be the last one. Before I get into it, it's the 20th of March, 2019, and I also did just finish the LTD Tax City drama video, so that's why I'm still wearing the same shirt. Energy drink. This is the energy drink. Balls energy. Not for... He's got balls on his shirt. Okay, well, technically I do, but it's balls with the W energy drink. So, if I am a field owner, if I own a field or I manage a field or I have influence over the significant operation of a field, obviously a piece I'm going to want to try and make money off of is the training piece. Hang on, where's this? Cheap layout, bear with me. Let's put this here. Let's put this here. No, I'm not going to get money on lighting. It's not going to happen. That's just not. If you're a field owner, obviously you want to have training days because that could be another way to bring in an additional revenue source other than playing. Does that makes sense? So from a business standpoint, obviously it makes sense. And if I've learned anything from the 3 years I've been playing Airsoft and been around the Airsoft world, it's most people, as long as it looks cool, they're good. You'll get the money if it has the appearance of like coolness, or like if it's modeled after something military. If it just looks like something out of a movie, kids are gonna give their money to it. It does not matter if it's effective, if it's ineffective, if it's efficient. They don't care. Kids don't want to be better. They just want to look better. If I'm an airsoft field manager or whatever, and I understand this, that's where I'm going to devote my attention and energy, because it gives me it's how I profit. It's how I make a profit. It's how I pay my employees. That's how I keep the lights on. That's how I pay my facility lease. That makes sense. Most fields are also now addressing the training concern. However, the struggle with that is finding people that can train, finding qualified instructors. Now, you can go to the military side, you can go to the professional side just fine. But say you go to like a TAC guy, like a SWAT team dude, or someone with like me who had a professional background, in that world. When I started playing, I did not really comprehend the line you have to draw between what you would teach an officer or like a fire team versus what you would teach an airsofter. It's semantical, and there's a difference to it, but in my opinion, it enhances the product, the training that you're, unless that's not the market you're catering to. Maybe part of the experience of the training day is to kind of like replicate like a boot camp experience. That's if that's the case, that's totally separate from what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the skill set, the player's ability on the field, and how to enhance those abilities. Okay? Very specific. So trying to find someone with some sort of credible background is difficult. Because if I'm a cop, then the way I get a credible resume, in other words, the way in which I can stand in front of other police officers, we all do the same job, but if I need to get them to listen and believe me, I need to have a credible resume, which means I need to have real-world applicable experience in the thing I am trying to teach them. Otherwise, they're going to believe that I'm just some schmuck who took a 2-week course or whatever, and I'm checking off a block. That happens. Same thing in the Army. If I am I'm a squad leader, and I have to teach my squad how to clear rooms. If I've never cleared a room, my squad's not going to listen to me. Correction, they're going to listen to me, they're not going to care, because they're going to look at me and go, he's on the same level technique-wise as we are. He's just reading out of a book. That's not how do I know that what you're saying isn't going to get me killed? How old is that book? Because if we look at the history of CQB, we really only started doing it about OIF 1. Let's go back now and study the history of tactics. We get tactics from warfare. What's happening? That was fun. So that was a Facebook call. We get our tactics from warfare. For hundreds of years, up until, let's say, early 20th century, the way we fought wars was everyone would get in a huge group, and we would just sort of our ammunition at each other, because the weapons weren't accurate, because we had muskets. We had muzzle loaders that were smooth bore and spherical projectiles. Basically airsoft guns. But, that could legit kill your face. We go up to maybe San Juan Hill, like Teddy Roosevelt style. We go up to about World War I. Now we're doing trench warfare. So now, because weapons have evolved, we're not fighting musket to musket in an open field like how we were doing in the Civil War, like how we were doing in the Revolutionary War. Even before the 20th century, if you look at the way that Native Americans, or that we fought the Indians, indigenous American, I'm going to say Indians. When I say Indians, I mean Native Americans. I'll just say Native Americans, whatever. They did not fight because there were so few of them, because Indian tribes were so few, they didn't have hundreds of thousands of people like we did in armies. So they had like skirmisher tactics. Now remember, that skirmisher style, even snipers, hundreds of years ago were thought of to be disrespectful, effective, but dishonorable. We see where we're going here? World War I, trench warfare, gas, technology, armored vehicles, things like that. We're not kicking in doors. We're still sort of in an open battlefield, just using different weapons. We look at World War II, we started it a little bit. We started a little bit of room clearing, going like trying to liberate cities and things like that. Now we have Garands, but now we have Thompsons. We are using pistols more. We are using grease guns. We're using smaller submachine guns for smaller areas. We're not going M1 Garand 300 meters like how we were doing previously. Korea, kind of the same way as World War II. Vietnam, still kind of the same way. Granted, it was a little bit more political, but the tactics, still sort of this open forest, slight maybe a village hut here and then style, but we're not going room to room yet. We really only started going broad spectrum room to room as an army, as a military force, about Iraq. Iraq was when we really started doing that. Now, that is not to discredit what was happening in the law enforcement community, which really, if we look at law enforcement tactics, we weren't really teaching patrol level officers CQB tactics until post-Columbine, because before Columbine happened, your average officer was writing tickets and doing a cop thing. If a room needed to be cleared, you had to wait for SWAT to mobilize. After Columbine, what we learned was that patrol officers need to have not necessarily detailed tactics knowledge to the level of SWAT, but at least a knowledge of it so that we wouldn't have to wait for SWAT to mobilize. So really, when we're talking about modern CQB tactics, we're really looking at about 95, 96. Realistically, standard across the board, OIF 1. So early 2000s was when we really started studying it. Because I remember going through basic. The way that they taught me to clear a room in basic training from July to December of 2003 was not the same way. Dude, I'm so bright right now. Was not the same way that I was being taught in 2008. And it was also not the way that I was teaching in 2012. So on and so forth. Well, deal with it. I'm just bright on this. Will this help? Hey, shiny things. Okay. So there's the history of CQB tactics. So we've really only been doing it for 20, 25 years as an army. And very few nations have the level of real-world experience in clearing rooms that the American Army does, or that the American law enforcement does. British come close, the Russians come close, but as far as the amount of people with the amount of experience, U.S. is kind of leading the way because we have been at war since 2000. When did we go in? 2003. In one form or another, Iraq and Afghanistan. That's really where we started to evolve our tactics. And the tactics that we learned from those worlds trickled themselves down into the law enforcement world. And they both kind of helped each other out. There's sort of a one hand washes the other, but the main canvas for studying CQB tactics, or like the main laboratory, was basically Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, the evolution of tactics from 2003 to now has changed. Dude, you're basically looking at the way we fight wars today versus the way we fight wars in the Civil War, as far as how drastically they've changed. We've kind of gone away from the conventional, everyone line up in a stack. We go more unstaggered, or the limited penetration style, which the Israelis got real good with and sort of developed that limited penetration style, which is kind of what I teach, is kind of that Pi 90 Go drill, if you study anything. But all those things, this huge history, detailed analysis, it's very hard to find people that understand that and can take that and mold it to the specific way you want an airsofter to move on the field. Now, recently, there was cutthroat contracting. who had, if you don't study, the cutthroat contracting was the team group of people, whatever you want to describe it as, that had won the American finals for Battle Arena and then went over to Russia and compete. You can look. There's drama that happened. Blah 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 blah. Cutthroat. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Right? Don't care. For the sake of this rant, that tournament is irrelevant. They were charging in somewhere on the East Coast, I believe, $100 a pop for a private one-on-one training session for Airsoft. I will say, once that sort of got known and that fire had spread, I actually just checked. So today's the 20th of March, 2019. I just checked the Cutthroat Contracting website, and they took that page down. That doesn't necessarily mean they no longer offer that service, but they had such a backlash of that it's no longer publicly viewed. So maybe if you hit them up on the low on the private, they might do it. I don't know. But for me, as someone with a professional background in that, who works at an airsoft field, who volunteers at an airsoft field, who teaches basically for free. Now, when I say free, what I mean is that when I put on Airsoft Fight Camp at the Airsoft Ministry in Roseville, it's a $10 fee. That money goes directly to the field. Airsoft Ministry does not pay me to do those things. I do those things because I enjoy doing it. The field's like 5 minutes from my parents' house. The field is in Roseville. I live in Antelope, kind of over by Antelope Crossing, so it's not, I think from driveway in my parents' house to driveway to the field, 5, 6, 7, less than, no lie, real talk, less than 10 minutes. It's a hop, skip, and a jump. So, I basically teach for free because I enjoy it. I also, when I create a training event, I let everyone know what we're going to be learning, who's teaching, what their background is, so that you just don't show up and go, okay, what are we doing? This looks cool. I don't just throw up a cool picture and some fancy words. I put the lesson plan. I make my lesson plan public, as well as my assistant instructors, as well as their resume. So that if you come to an Airsoft Fight Camp in Airsoft Ministry in Roseville, California, paying $10, you know exactly what you're getting and exactly who you're getting it from. Because for me, that's part of the marketing. One of the things I did not like about when I saw the thing from 101. Now, keep in mind, I'm not necessarily hating, because my understanding is they were using that money to help fund them go to Russia to compete. I believe, it is my opinion, my perception, that's what they were doing. And that could very well be why they took it down. I don't know. I don't know the full history on that. That's what I believe based on my perception. Where was I going with this? So, they were charging $100 a pop. They were not giving specific backgrounds of the instructors you could pick from. They were not saying how long the training sessions. So for all I know, that one-on-one could have been an hour, could have been a day, could have been a full week. They weren't saying. They did a terrible job at marketing that. I think if their marketing would have been better and they would have explained everything that's going on from top to bottom, I don't think they would have got such a hit, especially from me personally. Even I blew it up. I think that could have been done better. I don't have a problem with a $100 training day. I don't. As long as you're honest and open about everything. Where's that money going? That's because in that, let's say you charge $100 for a one-on-one. Well, what's the facility fee? If I have to pay $50 to a field to teach, well then of course I'm gonna put that cost to the student. I'm not gonna pay for that. Student pays for that. When I hold classes at the shooting range, I take my facility fee, and that is what it goes into the price for per student. So I don't have to pay to teach. That's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to pay to teach. That's crazy. So there's that. So let's say I'm cutthroat contracting, and I need to now go to Russia to compete. Well, there's airfare, there's hotel, there's food, lodging, there's expenses incurred in that. So what I'm going to do is, as a marketing campaign, I'm going to make a deal with whatever fields in the area that will let me do it. And I'll say, hey, we're going to Russia to compete. Please help support us by, if you want to get better, we will be going over the strategies and the techniques that we use to win the finals, to win this tournament, to do this tournament. But all the things that we've done to succeed in this game, we will be teaching you for $100. It's going to be, and you can have a 4-on-1. I would give options. You can either have $100 for a 1 hour, 2 hour session or whatever from any of these people. Here's their specialty. This guy specializes in pistol. This is a shield guy. This is a rifle guy. This is a shotgun guy. This guy plays long, middle, and distance. This guy's a rusher or an assault class or whatever the cool term is. That money will go towards the facility fee. That money will also go toward, and what basically all proceeds or profits will go to help us fund our trip to Russia to compete. I would have kept my mouth shut if that's what they'd have done, because that's just fundraising. That's no different than anyone selling a shirt or a hat. It's just what I thought was insane was the fact that they were charging the way I perceived it. The way I perceived it was that an airsoft team, just some group of random dudes, was taking $100 from kids to show them who knows what. And I was afraid that, basically I was upset that because I perceived that to be exploitation. And anyone that knows me knows I have a super soft spot for kids. That goes back to the first time I was in Iraq, where I saw starving children on the side of the road, like going through MRE boxes and trash to eat. That's where my passion for dealing with kids comes from. It's a deep-rooted, serious soft, and the fact that I have a daughter, there's that. But even before I had a kid, my soft spot was always kids, because I had to see how kids lived in other countries. In that, I'd always promised myself that if I could make a difference in my own country for children, make sure that stuff didn't happen, I would do it. This airsoft world is kind of how I fulfill that promise to myself. So, this is like spiritual for me. So when I saw the cutthroat contracting thing, I immediately thought it was a cash grab and an exploitation for kids. And I was pissed. I was so mad. I hit up a lot of people, because then again, I thought maybe it's not. So let me reach out to other people whose opinions I trust. And they go, oh no, that's not what this is. This is a straight up like cash grab. So, ooh, angry, James mad. James make angry posts on Instagram. Right? Yeah. So that pissed me off a lot. Because they failed to properly market. If there would be what I would perceive to be proper marketing, they just go, hey, we're just doing this as a fundraiser, I'll shut up. I'll keep my mouth shut. In fact, you know what? I probably would have endorsed it. Let's say, here's another thing I would have done differently if I was them. Say you do one-on-ones at $100 for whatever period of time, and then you also do a full day. So you could either have privates one-on-one for $100 for whatever time period, or on this specific day for $40 to $50, we're gonna have a group class, and kind of like workshops or like seminars, or do that. If they'd have done that, I'd have shut my mouth. And you know what? I'd have probably endorsed that event too, if they were honest about what they were doing. But because I had a negative perception based on my background, based upon how I perceive the airsoft world to run. Well, keep in mind, I find airsoft mostly just to be another way to take money from kids without them really knowing that they're not getting the highest quality product, right? So you look at like $20, $30 junky universal holsters that all these new kids are running. They're not running omnivores. They're not running this. No. They're running cheap stuff that they see because they don't have an understanding what they're doing, so they get their money taken for $20. That same, what I perceive to kind of be an exploitation of ignorant kids, is also how I perceive to be the $100 cutthroat contracting training thing. Like, oh, you get this, and you get what do they say? Let's look at it. What exactly did you get from it? Because I have a screenshot of it. here, here, here. Where's the screenshots? Boop, here it is. It said the package included a private one-on-one session. Oh. Private one-on-one training session. No other specificity. A 25-page cut-through contracting standard operating procedure. What? A book? A 25-page printed media in the 21st century? Why? Why not an ebook? Why not a free ebook? Why not a video series? Why not anything other than printed media? Whatever. That's a personal thing. And he got a cool patch. So I additionally perceive that to be a cash grab because they were throwing in fluff, right? They didn't want to add more meat into the burger. They just wanted to keep throwing on more lettuce. You want a burger, you want a big old beef patty. You don't want them to keep stacking on lettuce and tomatoes. Even though the lettuce and tomatoes are cheap, the meat, the actual meat is what costs money. So when I say, oh, you get a patch. Ooh, kids love patches. Bleh, patches. Then you get a 25-page book. What? Why? Why do I need a book if you're going to teach me everything I need to know in the book? Why does it have to? Why can't you just make a PDF? Why can't you take that book into a PDF file? Oh, you need printed media so you can give people something because you perceive that to increase the value of your training class. Like, oh, look, you get a book. What? Who cracks a book? Like, you know what? Man, hang on. Hang on, guys. Hang on, let me figure out how to clear this room real quick. I forgot what I'm doing. Hang on. Let me clear this room real quick. Okay, so according to the book, here's what we got to do. Get out of here with that. A book. Printed media? So because of all those things, I perceive that just to be a cash grab exploitation. So, if you are looking at a training event, you are looking at giving your money to a training event, and that training event does not have specificity, I recommend you either you ask questions or you not go. Because otherwise, how do you know it's just not exploitation? How do you know it's not like a pyramid scheme kind of thing? I have seen Airsoft teams or whatever wanting to host training events I saw it for $40. Looked them up, right off the bat, no social media presence, no online presence. If a business or an organization or an entity seeking to take your money doesn't have the time to create a Facebook, Instagram, website, or YouTube channel, it's a scam. I'm telling you right now, that stuff is a scam. Because what does it really take to make an Instagram? Effort? So you want my $40, but I can't get you to make an Instagram that will convince me to give you $40? Are you stupid? Are you out of your mind? Do you not know how to YouTube how to sell a product or service? It's the 21st century, folks. You don't have an Instagram or Facebook or website, you don't exist. You have no credibility. None. No credibility. You don't get my money. And I'm going to tell kids to not give you money. That's how I work. What's the background of the people teaching? What? What's the background? If they don't have a background, if they're just airsofters, that's going to be a problem. Because how are you any better or worse than any casual player? How do I know you didn't just start playing Airsoft last week and you watched a bunch of YouTube videos and some Speed QB tournaments? You're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I could teach what they're doing. Like, what? Like, what? Like what? Like, huh? No, bro. No. You need specificity. Ask them for what the topics are going to be covered. Well, we're going to be going over CQB topics. Okay, dingus, what does that mean? What does that mean? Be specific. Are we going over formations? Are we going over shooting stances? Are you going to teach me how to set up gear? Are we going to be doing 1 through 3 man team stack operations? What? What does it mean? What does CQB tactics mean? You want my money, you better convince me to give it to you. If I go to a restaurant and I open a menu and it says cheeseburger, it usually tells me what's in the cheeseburger. Sometimes it'll even have a picture of what the cheeseburger looks like, because that restaurant wants me to order that cheeseburger so I can give them money. So I can give them more money than it costs them to make that product. Right? Am I wrong? Unless you go to a fast food restaurant, in which case they know you don't care anyway. It's ridiculous. It's just people that want to take your money for the most part. There could be guys out there that just, they have the greatest, like me when I first started, the greatest intentions, you just don't know how to market it. You haven't figured out how to convince an airsofter to pay X amount of dollars to go to this thing. You could just suck at marketing. If that's the case, dude, hit me up. I've been doing this for 3 years. I'll give you free marketing advice. I don't just slide up in my DMs, homie. But you see a training event. Price, specific topics, and instructor's bio. Those are the 3 things you need. If you can't get those 3 things, I'm willing to bet it's a scam. Just a personal opinion. But that's why you came to me. That's why you're sitting through this. That's why you're over here looking at how bright my forehead is and how desperately I need to shave my head today. And maybe I'll take a shower later also. So I am sitting here in my bedroom in my parents' house, reeking of my own funk. It was a lovely day in Northern California. That is my rant. That sums it up. Man, do I need a tan. Please follow, from NorCal all the way down, U.S. Airsoft in Anderson, California. Please also follow CQB City _ Stockton in Stockton, California. Please follow UKAUS, UKAUS in Galt, California. Please also follow West Coast Adventure Park in, let's say, Slough House, California. And also follow my Field the Airsoft Ministry in Roseville, California. I love you guys. If you have any questions, hit me up. Bye.